Well, it's once again time to rant on Governor Kathy Hochul. And once again, it shows that she really does not care about the environment. All right? So we're going to talk. We actually have two stories, one about Long Island and one about New Jersey. And you can see where this is going. So Hochul vetoes a ban on hunting near a Long Island Wildlife Rescue Center. So there is hunting by this here. This is the Wildlife Center right here. This is right next to Henry's Hollow. So there's deer hunting here. And what wound up happening was, we're going to read in the article, this happened a while ago. Remember we spoke about this, and there was a proposal, and there was very widespread support to create a no hunting zone around this wildlife rescue center. But Hochul has vetoed it. This one right here has vetoed it. So it once again shows, for those who think she stands, and I know one of my viewers, I'm not going to mention his name, supports Hochul, claims she's a Democrat. She's not really a Democrat, because a Democrat would ban hunting near a wildlife rescue center. She's not really a Democrat. She's corporate. It's almost like she's really a lot more like Chris Christie than anyone else. All right, who was a Republican governor of New Jersey, who was absolutely pompous and terrible governor of New Jersey. All right, so that's what she's more like. That's why her predecessor, who also was more like Cuomo, was also like Christie. So it says Hochul vetoes ban on hunting near Long Island Wildlife Rescue Center. Animal advocates have pleaded for a ban after a deer was killed feet from the center. Employees say they are fearful for their safety. So the hunters are just taking over the woods here on Long Island, and Hochul is letting them do it. So animal advocates on the East End are dismayed after Governor Kathy Hochul vetoed a bill that would have banned hunting near the Evelyn Alexander Wildlife Rescue Center in Hampton Bays, where a deer was shot and killed in January. Months after the deer was shot, just feet from the Evelyn Alexander Wildlife Rescue Center in Hampton Bays, lawmakers responding to serious concerns that staff or visitors at the facility might be injured signed a bill in June that would ban hunting on that parcel in the future. But that bill was vetoed once it got to Hochul's desk, according to the New York State Senate website. John D. Leonardo, anthrozoologist and president of Humane Long Island, was outraged. Wildlife rehabilitators should not have to work in fear of being shot and killed at the Hamptons' only wildlife hospital, where many patients being treated for gunshot wounds to begin with. All right, so again, hunting is just out of control on Long Island. It really is. But Hochul's going to let it continue. All right, in this quote-unquote blue state that we live in. With Governor Hochul signing both Puppy Mill Pipeline Bill and Cruelty-Free Cosmetics Acts this week, we know that she cares about animals. I'm not so sure about that. All right. However, this bill is not about animal welfare. It's about public safety. We are confident that once her office better understands the dangers of our Long Island rehabilitators are facing, she will sign it when it passes nearly unanimously once again. No, I'm not so confident in that. So you can see, people, they just don't want to, it's like, oh, she's a Democrat. She's a Democrat. No, she's not really a Democrat. That's just the thing about it. You want a Democrat? Phil Murphy. That's a Democrat, all right? You got to remember, Hochul was once a member of the NRA and supported the NRA. Does that sound like a Democrat to you? So, Alexander Wildlife Center Executive Director Virginia Frady said she was disappointed and disheartened by the news. I just can't believe nobody cared about the safety of employees, she said. We've had so many close calls with hunters not where they're supposed to be. We've found arrows. Frady said that she has seen no hunting signs with bullet holes. The way this property is configured is what makes it unique. The hunting trail ends up right at our building. It's not just a patch of woods. Frady said that she was hopeful New York State Assemblyman Fred Thiel will reintroduce the bill, but added it would take time to pass. She added that she was surprised with Hochul's focus on gun safety and animal protection that she wouldn't sign the legislation. Yeah, well, you shouldn't be surprised. This is Kathy Hochul we're talking about here. The measure, I'm not saying Lee Zeldin would have done it any differently. He would have vetoed it too, all right? The measure received bipartisan support and only needed to be signed by Hochul. And we've seen Cuomo do this too, where there's been bipartisan support on a bill to protect the environment, and Cuomo vetoed it. It just shows you this woman does not care about the will of the people, right? Friday said that she has seen hunters on the property and adjacent to the rescue center for years, and she noted, "We were here first. That's important because I never would have picked a place that was near hunting." That's right. Years ago, we didn't have so much damn hunting on Long Island. Now, even though we have less woods, we have more hunting. How is that? How does that even make sense? All right. Friday said she and her staff still mourn the deer that died despite her efforts to save it. They have put up a lighted memorial which includes a statue of a deer at the very spot where the deer was shot. "I think about it all the time." Absolutely, Friday said. "At least if this passes, the deer didn't die in vain." On January 4th, shots were fired by a hunter on the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation's Henry Hollow Pine Barrens State Forest property. The hunter was later charged. When the shots were fired, one slug went through a cage and came close to workers at the wildlife rescue, missing by just a few feet, said Friday, leaving staffers at the facility fearful for their own safety and for those walking and bicycling on the nearby trail. That's right. This is why, again, they don't want people in the woods when the hunters are there. And now what's going to happen is they're probably going to try to cut that center closed down during hunting season. Because, again, the hunters have the money and they get what they want. Because it's all about who has the money in this damn state. The problem is not new, Friday said. For about 20 years, she said she has been imploring Suffolk County officials to terminate an agreement that allows hunters to traverse a strip of county-owned land to reach New York State-sanctioned Henry's Hollow hunting area adjacent to that parcel. According to Thiel, the bill, which he sponsored in the New York State Assembly, which was sponsored by the New York State Senator Anthony Palumbo in the Senate, only applies to one 200-acre parcel in the entire state. The state-owned land at Henry's Hollow, adjacent to the Evelyn Alexander Wildlife Rehabilitation Center, which is part of Munns Pond County Park. The center has leased the property for more than 20 years before any hunting was permitted. All right, and that's the thing. There wasn't so much hunting years ago. It just keeps getting expanded. All right. The center has raised safety concerns for many years with violations of the buffer, Thiel said. He added that although a larger buffer from the DEC, all that was agreed to was additional signage which led to the legislation. The situation, Thiel said, is unique. There are only 3 parking spaces. Hunters have to cross the center's property to get to the state's property, hence all the conflicts. And Thiel added that the legislation is not an anti-hunting bill. I have passed bills that increase hunting opportunities on the East End. This is a safety issue. Palumbo voiced similar sentiments. This was a very specific situation, and the legislation only applies to the specific parcel regarding a safety concern at the Wildlife Center. As Senator, I continue to support our hunters on all avenues to reduce the deer population on Long Island. This bill was limited in scope and was passed with broad bipartisan support. And again, it just goes to show you that Governor Hochul does not care about what the people think. She does what she wants, just like Chris Christie, just like Andrew Cuomo, just pompous, just like Donald Trump. The same kind of arrogant people. They don't care about what the people think. In past months, Suffolk County legislators Bridges Fleming thanked Thiel, Palumbo, and all involved in creating change. Legislation was passed that protects the Wildlife Center and ensure that hunting will not put the safety of the center's workers or animals in danger. According to the NYSDEC, environmental conservation officers Jacob Clark and Rob McCabe received a complaint from workers at the Wildlife Rescue Center in Hampton Bays about a hunter who shot a deer on their property. The officers responded and found a deer near the animal holding area behind the center. The ECOs questioned the hunter, who said he entered from a legal hunting co-op parking spot and had mistakenly walked into an area where hunting is prohibited. The DEC environmental conservation officers also found bullet holes in the fence and damage to a door of an animal housing and storage shed. Additionally, ECO, which is environmental conservation officer, Christopher DeRose and K9 Kramer also responded and found 3 spent shotgun shells within 500 feet of the occupied building. It is illegal to discharge a firearm within 500 feet of a structure in use unless you own it or lease it or have the owner's permission. Describing the gunshots that rang out outside the rescue center, Friday said that she was horrified by what she found when she ran outside to investigate. I had saw that the hunter had shot a deer which was lying still alive near our raccoon pens. She picked up the deer, her arms, face, and pants and glasses covered with blood, and tried in vain to save it, But despite her best efforts, the deer died. It was the most horrible, traumatic thing I've ever experienced, Fratty said. I was just sobbing. Although the hunter had been 40 feet away, the deer was dropped to the ground literally 3 feet from one of our cages. There should not be a hunting area near a wildlife center. That's like putting a pawn shop or an adult bookstore next to a children's playground, and I totally agree with that. I mean, but these hunters, they have money. That's how they tell people to get out of the woods for the whole month of January, this is what happens on Long Island. This is what happens on Long Island. So let's go to the next thing here. So there's a bunch of stories on this. She also vetoed a cap on late fees for New York Bridget and Tunnel tolls. So again, she does not care about that. And she also vetoes a bill allowing to ban. So apparently there was another bill that was about hunting. Vetoes bill allowing upstate New York counties to ban holiday hunt. So it would allow upstate counties to opt out of the new holiday hunt season. Now, see what I mean? Holiday hunting. Oh, so apparently we have a holiday hunt now, or this includes the southern zone, includes most. I don't know if this is our area, but there is a new holiday hunt now. So this is what I mean. They just keep hunting in New York. Look, I understand hunters have a place, but we have too much damn hunting here. All right, and the fact that the hunters have the woods for an entire month is absolutely ridiculous. So there's another article on this. I'll put this in the thing. So 22 holiday begins next week. Okay, so it's a late bow and muzzled hole lotus season in the southern zone, which runs from December 26th. So now I'm wondering if they've now taken over the woods now. I think we may not even be able to go into the woods starting December 26th on Long Island. The southern zone. I think that might be our area. So let's see. I'm going to go to this and we'll see if this includes southern zone line. All right, so southern zone line. All right, so apparently southern zone is the southern zone. So this says we're in the southern zone. So apparently there is going to be an expanded hunt now. You gotta love this damn state. You gotta love this damn state. So let's go to New Jersey where things make sense. All right, and we'll show you something good that's going on in New Jersey. All right. This is, what do you think should happen to SEBA land? Now, we're going over these areas first of all. I'll go to the maps first of all. So this is, again, where the Wildlife Center is. So let's go to New Jersey. Let's go to Toms River, a place where, the people actually matter. Imagine that. And a place where I'm going to wind up having to live, despite all saying I'm not going to wind up having to live there because this is all part of the plan. You think you're going to stop the plan. So this is the area they're talking about. This used to be a former bass plant, all right? Very similar to EPCAL. It used to be similar like industrial, but most of the land was wooded. Well, they want to preserve it. Imagine that. Now, on Long Island, they want to develop EPCAL and sell to a developer. But in New Jersey, something very similar they want to preserve. So let's read this article here, all right? So it says, what do you think should happen to SEBA land? The State Department of Environmental Protection is asking the public for comments on a proposed settlement that would remediate the Ciba-Geigy property into passive open space, an environmental center, and a solar field. Ciba once manufactured dyes and other chemicals and was one of the region's largest employees. They were also, and this is another bad thing that happened, they were also dumping waste directly into the water, the ground, and bearing drums of toxic chemicals, and Grumman did the same thing at EPCAL as well. Many people attribute the area's cancer cluster to its operation. The property changed hands several times over its history and is now owned by German company BASF. On December 5th, the DEP announced a settlement with BASF that would preserve 1,000 acres as open space. Additionally, hundreds of acres would be restored through a variety of ecological improvement projects. This includes the creation of a freshwater wetlands complex, upland grasslands, and a pollinator habitat. There will be walking and running trails, a boardwalk, and an environmental education center. Wow. We can't have that at EPCAL, can we? No. The project could break ground as soon as the spring of 2023 and will be open to the public in phases over the next 5 years. Of the 1,000 acres to be preserved, approximately 790 acres will be maintained as open space and will include restoration habits for ecological uplift, habitat enhancement, and public access. The remaining 210 acres will be set aside for pollinator habitat and solar production. Having spent my childhood on the other side of the fence from the polluted site, I know what this settlement will mean to the families and children of those neighborhoods, said Deputy Commissioner of Environmental Protection Sean D. Moretti, who oversees the DEP team that developed this project. And again, the New Jersey DEP is excellent compared to our DEC, which is our DECs are corrupt. They're not. Our New York State DEC is looking out more for Wall Street than for the plant and than for the woods. Whereas the DEP in New Jersey, Department of Environmental Protection, is actually looking out for the environment. They're not influenced in any way by Wall Street. I am proud to have played a small part in transforming a previously forbidden place into somewhere the community can truly connect with nature and appreciate its immense value to health and well-being. The DEP's press release included words of praise about the proposed settlement from DEP Commissioners Sean M. LaTourette, Taylor McFarland, Conservation Manager for the Sierra Club, New Jersey Chapter, and Alex Ireland, President and CEO of New Jersey Audubon. One person who already contributed his comments is Mayor Maurice Hill. He's the mayor of Toms River, so preserving 1,000 acres of open space is great news for the residents of Toms River, who are all concerned about the impact of overdevelopment on the quality of life in our community. You'd never see Yvette Aguirre say stuff like this. So long as the pollution has been successfully remediated, making the site safe for public access, the proposed nature preserve, park trails, and boardwalk, an environmental center will be a great enhancement for our residents and potential boon to our tourism industry. However, I have 3 requests of NJDEP and BASS that will be formally made during the public comment period in letters to Governor Murphy and New Jersey Commissioner of Environmental Protection Sean M. LaTourette. Given the devastation that Ciba-Geigy's cancer cluster wreaked on Toms River families, the proposed environmental center should be required to include an exhibit that comprehensively documents the damage the pollution caused to our environment, the health of our residents, and the negative impact to our community. A committee of academics, environmentalists, and Toms River residents should be appointed to create and maintain the exhibit. The exhibit should be generously funded by BASS. Wow, we don't even get any of this from Grumman here on Long Island. The remaining, or Northwark Grumman, now it's Northwark Grumman, or it was. The remaining 255 acres of the site, or a significant portion thereof, should be deeded to Toms River Township for perpetual preservation so long as BASS remains responsible for the cost of ongoing remediation. A fund to compensate the victims of the cancer cluster should be set up by BASS, administered by a trustee appointed by the township. Ciba-Geigy opened in 1952 and closed in 1990. It became an EPA Superfund site in 1983. The settlement with the DEP will not impact the situation with the EPA. BASS assumed responsibility for the site in 2010 through corporate acquisitions. When BASS acquired Ciba, the property was undergoing remediation efforts and excavation and capping of contaminated areas and pumping of treatment of contaminated groundwater. So they are cleaning it up. I don't see any. We're still waiting for you've heard about the plume out at Bethpage. You've heard about we've had similar issues on Long Island. Apparently they're getting a much better response in New Jersey. But again, that is because in New Jersey things actually make sense. Whereas on Long Island and in New York, they don't make sense. In New Jersey, you have a governor that actually cares about the people. Phil Murphy, an excellent governor, one of the best governors in the country as far as I'm concerned, all right? And the kind of governor we needed in New York, all right? We could have had a governor like him had we chose Tom Suozzi in the Democratic primary. But again, Wall Street money decides who becomes the governor of New York, not common sense. So, and it's interesting because actually, Phil Murphy is somebody who cares about the people. He's somebody who cares about the people. This is a great guy, all right? Whereas this lady here, she's just looking out for Wall Street. She doesn't care about about the people. She doesn't care about the planet. She's just bought and sold for by Wall Street. And so all this stuff we spoke about today, it all relates to that. And this is all, extremely disappointing. So apparently now there's an expanded hunting season that I didn't even know about. So now I'm not even going to go to the woods on Long Island now starting the day after Christmas. So I guess I know where I'll be doing my hiking. And I know it's all part of the plan. We know that already. Because if you don't like it, well, you know what? Shut up and go live in New Jersey. That's pretty much the message being sent. I'm going to keep fighting, but we all know the eventuality that I don't even want to think about, because if I do, then I start crying. So that brings this video to an end. Before I cry, thank you for watching.